Flipkart, I had a very interesting interview process. It was a 4 to 5 rounds, maybe 6. So yeah, don't be afraid of the number of rounds. They are all entirely different from each other.
So people often ask that how can they get into this field? So what are some of the approaches that one can follow being a fresher in order to break into this field?
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So today in this video we have Tanmay Shrivastava with us, who is currently working with Flipkart as a senior business analyst. So with his great experience in the field of analytics with companies like Mu Sigma, FICO and now Flipkart, in this video he has shared some great insights not just about the role of business analyst but also on an overall analytics level. So via this video, you'll get to know a lot of things from him regarding what are some of the problems that business analysts deal with, what skills do they use, how does the recruitment process for such roles looks like, how you can get into the field of analytics, and many more things. So make sure to watch this video till the end in order to get the best out of it. So let's move on to the video now.
Hi Tanmay, welcome to the channel. I'm so glad to have you here.
Hi Tisha, the pleasure is all mine. I'm so excited that you invited me.
Same here. So in order just to get started, so I really want to know, how did you get into analytics? So what we would like to know is a brief about your journey so far.
That's an interesting question itself, but I think the most of the credit goes to Kismat. Because just like any other engineering student in India, I'm not from the CSIT background. I'm more from electrical background. And while sitting for the placements, there were like many day one companies, like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, and then there were some like core companies as well. But given that I did not had much interest towards the core side, I opted for sitting in the placements for the ITCS related companies. And then when Mu Sigma came, it was a kind of a new thing for me. Like business analytics was a new word at that time. At least for the college students. So I thought, okay, let me give it a shot. And the interview process we heard was pretty exciting because there were like different aptitude tests and all. So that's how I went for the test along with my friends, and somehow I got to know that I have been shortlisted for the second round. And then the day went like second round, third round, fourth round. At the end of the day, they gave me offer in hand. Okay. So it went like just one day before, I had no idea there is something called business analytics. And the end of the other day, I was a business analyst. So it was a turn of fate. Maybe just right place, right time.
Right.
But good for me.
Yeah. Okay. And what about Mu Sigma? How did you proceed in your career after that?
So Mu Sigma is more of a pure play design science companies, and they are more like a vendor, like analytics as a service for different Fortune 500 organizations. So when we joined Mu Sigma, and that was after there was a 6 months gap between my joining and my college completion. So when we joined, we've underwent 2-3 months of a training regime. Okay. During that training, we were put into like different types of courses. So there is like a week specific for Python, in which you were doing nothing but just Python. The second week was statistics, complete statistics. You are solving actual maths problem like college. And then the third week was Excel, fourth week R, and fifth week like SQL. So at the end of the 5 week, which is like 1.5 month, 5 week and some assignments, we were proficient with 5 different technologies, which we didn't know nothing about in the final year. Okay. And after that, we were put into a shadow project where we worked with the actual teams who were working on the client side. Okay. To understand how this work actually, how this entire training translates into the work. So this is what the training program did to us. Like they trained us first on the technology, and then they put us in the client side to understand the business. And after this training program, we were evaluated, and based on like the availabilities in different projects, we were assigned to different clients. So I was fortunate enough to work with like different geographies, even in Mu Sigma. I worked for a client in Japan, then I moved to a different geography in Canada, and finally a pharmaceutical giant in US. And over there, so because that time we are using different technologies, and depending on client use cases, it could be like a different set of problems. Sometimes you can solve anything with a SQL, just SQL, and sometimes you need to use let's say advanced machine learning algorithms as well. Sometimes you can just do a linear regression. So it was more like on a used to use basis, like case basis. But eventually it turned out to be like I worked on kind of everything that is there for a business analyst in starting. So that was fun.
That would somehow open so many opportunities for you, right? Learning a lot of things
Yes.
and dealing with a lot of things, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay. So music, after Mu Sigma, then you proceeded to FICO, right? And then after
Yeah.
that, here you are right now uh, working with Flipkart as a senior business analyst,
Yes.
right? Okay. So, Tanmay, since you are currently working as a senior business analyst at Flipkart, and it is one of the the role that you have, a job role that people don't have much clarity about. Everyone knows that there is business analyst, data scientist, but what actually does a business analyst do? That's what my next question to you is.
Sure. So to answer this question, I would first like to clarify one thing, that when we talk about analytics, analytics itself is like different kinds of role. It's not just that you are always going to be a business analyst or a data scientist, because these are the buzzwords which are going around.
Right.
There are like multiple domains, and you can actually clarify them into four or five different practices actually. So let's start with the basic one. Every analytics problem starts with data. So that's where you get the role of a data engineer, whose primary objective is to work on the data side of thing and resolve the pipeline that enables the business analyst or data scientist or design scientist to take their decisions. Second, we have data analyst. So data engineers enables the pipeline, but then comes the responsibility of data analyst, which evaluates the data and then get to know whether the data is up to the mark for doing anything on it, because we know that the actual real world data, because these data sources are collected from so many places. For example, when you fill out a Google form, sometimes you miss out on the optional fields, like who has the time to fill them. But these creates problem for the people who are working on the back end, people like us, business analysts, data analysts and all. So that's where data analyst role come into picture, and they take reason about the quality of the data. Once that part is resolved, there are three other roles. And if we move in the order of like how I perceive them in difficulty, I would say the next comes is business analyst.
Okay.
So business analysts, what they do is they know that there is a problem faced by your clients. Your clients could be, if you're working in an in-house company, for example, you are working Swiggy, Zomato, or Myntra, your client could be directly your own company. But if you're working on more of a client-based company, for example, FICO or maybe Mu Sigma, Fractal. So over there, you have problems coming from the client. They might come to you and say that I'm a retail chain and I want to launch a loyalty card service for my customers. Now, how can I increase the loyalty? So is this their problem? We need to get in a room with them, try to understand what they actually mean by that. Because sometimes when they say that they want to increase loyalty, what they want is they want to increase their profits.
Yeah.
Because in the end, everything is just dollars, right?
Yes, right.
So to resolve that what actually is the problem, the business analyst comes into the room. They try to understand what is their problem, and sometimes the problem is entirely different from what the client has mentioned. Now, once the problem has been identified, the next step for the business analyst is to translate that problem into a mathematical form. So business analysts start looking at the data, which has been already in process and been available for the business analyst. Once the data is there, what they do is they try to understand what are the factors that could affect the customer loyalty. For example, maybe if you are a retail chain, they are not getting the products that they are looking for. So is that a problem on the loyalty card front? No, that's a problem on the inventory front.
Right.
So that's how a business analyst help them. And the fourth role that comes into picture, you can say it's a data scientist role. Now, data scientists, you can say, are like the nerds sitting in the rooms with their glasses on and like doing hacker things. But what they do is they understand the problem, which has been translated by the business analyst or some other requirements team, and they try to find an optimal solution. And then there's another role, which is the machine learning engineer, which is specialized in applying machine learning techniques to all of these problems. So these are the major roles over there.
That makes it pretty clear. Like now in my mind, I have a clear picture of a business analyst. What does a business analyst actually do? So that's really helpful. Since we are talking so much about business analysis and everything, so can you give us a sneak peek of the type of work you do at Flipkart? Like, what are some of the problems that you encounter on a day-to-day basis, and how do you deal with them being a business analyst?
Sure. So I'm going to take an example because I cannot give details of the actual projects that I'm doing. So start with something. So let's suppose that you are a retail company. A retail company works on two things. It sells product to the customer.
Right.
Now the products could be coming from, you could have your own products, for example, like brands like Apple, they have their own store, online store. Or you could be a e-commerce platform where you are selling products from other sellers like Flipkart or Amazon.
Right.
You onboard your sellers and provide them a platform where they can sell their products. What they do is they reduce the gap between the seller and the customer. So previously, when your sellers were localized in a pre-e-commerce market, you could only have access to products which are available in your Kirana wala shop or your local mega store. But now you can just sit at home and order things online from, let's say, from South India to North India, and you will get them delivered within a week. Today, nowadays, it's only like 2 days or 3 days, right? So now over here, let's consider that this is a scenario. Now, what happens is that as a seller, you are trying to sell, but then you might having some problem with other sellers, like your prices are not that optimized, or you are not getting enough customer attention. Your product is on the platform, it's in the inventory list, but if, for example, in a brick and mortar retail, if it's not available on the front shelf, it's put in the go down, what's the point of it? You won't sell it.
Exactly.
So increasing the availability of a product and the visibility of the product to relevant customers, not just everyone. So we want to increase the relevance of the results. So there are different teams which work on it. So even in a company like Flipkart, in an e-commerce platform, there are different kinds of team working on different issues. One team is entirely dedicated for resolving on the trust and safety issues, which is if there are any frauds happening on the platform, because if a fraud happens, that reduces the reputation of your organization. Right. And it also reduces the reliability of a seller on your platform, because their product might be like fraudulent transaction. They lost their product. So someone need to bear that cost. So then there are teams which are working explicitly on resolving these issues. That how can we reduce the fraud? How can we quickly identify a fraud? Now, again, like there could be like different things. There could be credit card fraud, which goes to the payment companies. But then there are like actual product frauds. Like, as we all know, like in college and all, we got some
onion in a mobile phone package.
Exactly, onion in a mobile phone package, brick in a mobile phone package. So although that could be a Nokia Geraso as well, but yeah. So that's where these teams work and resolving them. They get these requirements from different teams. They get it from the product managers or from the CEO, CMO, that we are experiencing fraud. How can we reduce that? Because in the end, it's burning a hole in your pocket. So what we do is that we analyze the data, try to find trends which might be leading to it. So it's pretty common to see that wherever there are more colleges, let's say, so if there are more colleges, there would be more cash on deliveries instead of the online payments, and that might lead to more frauds. Because as a college students, we all are broke at one point or another. Right. So that's just one example. Now, understanding a customer journey on the platform itself, that how can they help a customer reach its destination the shortest time available, so that they understand, okay, this is a nice platform, we can find our products easily, because that's what makes a happy customer, and a happy customer makes that a happy company. Right. So yeah, right. There's just few of the examples, like more kind of like hypothetical scenarios. So yeah.
No, that obviously gave a very clear, like, better picture of how the things actually are being conducted on the platforms. What are the difficulties that people on the platform face? How Flipkart deals with the problems that they have related to fraud or related to returns or anything like that. So yeah. Now moving on. So moving on to the technology side. Now we have talked about what are the things that you do, what type of work that you do on a daily basis. So what are the skills or technologies that you use? Because you have worked as a business analyst for such a long time, and there could be a list of skills that you would have used majorly.
Sure, Atisha. So as I mentioned that when I was talking about Mu Sigma, I already mentioned that we went through a 5-week training program for 5 different technologies. So just to reiterate on that, we learned Python and R, which are scripting language commonly used in business analytics. Then we learned Excel, which is the most common tool available in corporate. Yeah. Then MySQL or SQL Server, Teradata, different kinds of SQL platforms, different kinds of databases for gathering your data, storing your data, and working on that. And then we also have statistics, which comes into play when we are looking at data, trying to understand the trends and the patterns. So all of this are one of the major things. which we generally use. Other than that, what we actually need to use in more day-to-day life is, it depends on some companies as well. Like they might have some internal tools. For example, FICO has their own set of internal tools. And then it's possible that some organizations are using their own set of tools for performing their task. Nowadays, there is also there is a rise in the adoption of the cloud-based tools. For example, there is a company called Data IQ DSS, and what it does is it provides a cloud-based ML solution where you can connect to any database which you can imagine and write a script in any language that you can think of, and then you can create your machine learning-based algorithm, even neural networks algorithm. So these are things that you only get to work on when you get to work on a project with them, because these are like expensive tools that you cannot directly work on. So the most important thing for analysts, a data analyst, business analyst, analytics consultant, or anyone related to analytics, is that they should have a very quick learning power. Because what is expected of business analysts is that once you are on the job, once you have taken a job in your hands, you will find a solution for it. And sometimes that leads to you spending more time on learning things than actually solving the problem. But if you understand the data properly, and you know your tools, then you can solve any problem that is available in the space, right?
And owing to the fact that these data science roles are not very well defined, so it might be possible that in some company you'll be using, as you said, in-house tools, and in some you'll be using the commonly used tools.
Also, like as I mentioned, that there are 5 different roles in analytics still, but the boundaries between those roles are very vaguely defined. So you could be a business analyst working as a data analyst to get the data, also as a data engineer to establish a data pipeline, and then a data scientist because you need to work some sort of algorithm on that.
Right.
So all of these roles are very vaguely defined, and that's why the importance of learning become like really too much over in this case. And another thing that I forgot to mention is that you need to know what to ask, because the answers will follow if you ask the right questions.
Right.
So you need to ask whom to approach. You need to know what to ask. And if you can do all of these 2-3 things, like ask the right question, you need not to know the right answer, but the right question, have a very quick learning and grasping power, because you need to understand what you are doing. And if you have questions, ask. And if you can do this, then you are set.
Yeah. Okay. So, Tanmay, for the people out there who want to get into this field of business analysts, so what roadmap would you suggest to an individual who is an aspiring business analyst?
Sure. For aspiring business analyst, I would suggest that the path is common, because we all work on the same technology in the starting phase at least. All the recruitments that are possibly going on right now, except a very small percentage, they all ask you related to Python, questions related to SQL, questions related to databases, and the past projects that you have worked upon. So if you are an aspiring analyst, you might not have some past projects, but in that case, what you can do is you can work on the technology front. Make sure that you are strong enough. You have advanced knowledge of Python. You have advanced knowledge of databases.
So now that you have defined the roadmap, how to get into this, so are there any resources that you would like to suggest to people? Because once you are on the internet and once you start finding how to become, say, a business analyst, there would be a list of things that would come up. There would be a list of resources that would come up, and people often get confused and they change their mind altogether.
Yes.
So are there any particular resources that you follow?
For that, I would suggest the Analytics Vidya. It's an Indian website. It's a pretty good website, because if you go on the Google and type data science roadmap 2021 plus Analytics Vidya, you will find the exact keyword leading to the Analytics Vidya website. And they have articles which are updated yearly, that what is the roadmap that you should follow. It's an annual roadmap, like a 12 months plan. So you can stick to that. The only thing that you need to do is stick to one plan. Now they might say that learn. So there is like the first one they say is just understand the role. You should get to know what the role is about, because sometimes you hear the buzzwords that there's analytics, there is data scientist. You want to go there because it's just the buzzwords. It's like someone outside the school saying that there's an ice cream truck over there. Everyone just want to rush over there. But then you get to know that you might not like the flavor. So try to understand the role. Once you have an idea that you really want to go through this, then you can start working on the actual problems. Start with Python. Python is a very commonly available resource, but stick to one learning platform. For
Yeah.
example, you can go through either HackerRun. There are YouTube channels like Sendex, Python Engineer, who specialize, and there is also the New Boston. So they have playlists specifically collated for Python learning, for other database learning, for other technology learning.
Yeah.
And then once you have started understanding the technology, and once you have a better idea of technology, let's say after a month or so, you can start working on the challenges available on Kaggle, HackerEarth, HackerRank, and they would help you understand more about it.
And also on platforms like HackerEarth and HackerRank, you have questions to solve. So once you have got the theoretical understanding of things, it's always fun to solve those questions and see how well you have understood the concepts.
Right, Adisha. And also, just to reiterate on that, it is very important that you practice whatever you are learning. You might learn, for example, in Python that there are 5 types of data types. But what will happen is that you go into an interview. Let's say you get a chance to go to an interview, and they ask you, okay, which one is a mutable data type? You just know the theoretical knowledge. So unless you try it, you practice it, you won't understand what it actually does. So that's very important to practice.
Right. So since we have started talking about the recruitment thing, so let's come on to the recruitment process. So coming to the recruitment process for such roles that we are talking about. So how was your experience? Like, how was your recruitment process with Flipkart? What all was asked? How many rounds were there? So we would love to know that.
Definitely, Adisha. So Flipkart, I had a very interesting interview process. It was a 4 to 5 rounds, maybe 6. So yeah, don't be afraid of the number of rounds. They are all entirely different from each other. The first round was a profile exploration round, which was with one of the hiring managers, where they tried to understand how my profile fits into the picture. Since I came from an experience background from Mu Sigma and FICO, and I have like 4.5-5 years of experience while interviewing for Flipkart. So they asked me like, what are different kinds of projects that I have worked upon? What are different technologies that I have used? And they try to grasp an understanding of your aptitude and attitude towards analytics. That are you able to actually understand a business problem and extract the technical problem out of it? Like, what's the actual problem?
Yeah.
Once that is done, I had like 2 rounds, which are entirely technical. One round was on SQL skills, where we talked about how to solve basic SQL problems. Now, like sometimes it happens that you have not worked on SQL. For example, I was not using SQL for quite some time. So just before the interview, try to get an idea about the recruiting process, and your recruiter itself can help yourself. So I reached out to my recruiter, and she told me, like the HR, she told me that this would be a round about your SQL knowledge, and these are the typical questions that are generally asked. So I had a fair idea about the round.
Right.
So I spent a day going through all the SQL resources, refreshing my memory, jogging my memory. And in the actual interview, I did whatever I could, and wherever I was stuck, I asked for help. I tried to solve it in a different manner. So what matters is that you show your aptitude, that you are able to solve a problem, if not one way, then another.
Right.
Third round was more on the database related, like data schema, because if you're going for a, let's say, product company, like Flipkart is a product company, Swiggy is a product company, you should have an idea of how to relate to their databases. Like they might ask you a question like design a database schema, like entire database schema for an airlines company. Now, you are not working in airlines, you're interviewing for e-commerce, but still, it's a relevant question, because once you start thinking about airlines, for example, they ask you that how do you plan a restaurant's database? You will say, okay, I will take a Zomato model. Let's say I will start with different tables. One only has the information about your restaurants. One have information about customers. Then there could be some information which is coming in a daily basis. For example, orders. There could be sales information. There could be like other tables. And then you need to create basically a fact and dimension map and show them that, okay, this is what we can do. And then there are generally some questions followed on the same, that if you want to do this, how will you do this using this schema?
Okay.
And sometimes that question leads you to realize that, okay, I missed that part. But don't be afraid, because in that short amount of time, sometimes you miss on things. What is important is that you admit that and correct that. And, so these are 3 rounds. Other rounds were more on the puzzles. And the last round was with the HR for a cultural fitment round, which shows that are you able to live the Flipkart values? If they have their values, customer integrity to company and all other values, then make sure that are you able to live them, or do you have any conflicts which might actually affect your recruitment?
So sort of behavioral questions in order to understand
Exactly.
how would you respond to situations, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this was all about your recruitment process that happened. Now, since you would have given Earth interviews, because it's been such a long time for you into analytics. So, so apart, like we have seen in many of the data science roles, it's not just the technical skills that the recruiters look into you, right? There are some other skills as well. So for a role of a business analyst, what could be the other skills that recruiters look into the individual before hiring?
So there is definitely an aptitude for learning, and you should always be good at conversational skills, because as a business analyst, you might be interacting with different stakeholders and different teams on a regular basis.
Right.
A typical day for a business analyst consists of getting the requirements, talking to different teams on getting the data pipeline set up, working on those data, and collaborating with the team, their own team, on actually solving that problem. Because you cannot do everything on your own.
Right.
So that's why business communication skills are very important. Conversational skills are very important.
So let's get into one of the questions that I often get asked by a lot of people, and I think you would be a better person to give answer to this question. So people often ask that how can they get into this field? So what are some of the approaches that one can follow being a fresher in order to break into this field?
So let's start with a college fresher. That's the easiest path to analytics. Make sure you sit into the recruitment process and try to, for generally what I've seen is that in college campus placements, they ask more like on the aptitude part.
Right.
In my campus placement, there was aptitude, there was psychometric test, there was a GD, there was a direct like face-to-face interview. And all of those played a role in the actual role that I'm going to play in the company. So that's important that you are able to crack through this. This is the easiest way out or easiest way in.
I agree.
Second is that let's say that you have already taken an opportunity in a company and you work in IT or some other field in that company. You can look for the internal role switch. So there are always internal switching possible. And once you talk to them, once you talk to your manager, they might give you some opportunities to work in an analytics team. And once you get a hands-on project, you can understand whether this role is for you or not. And you can continue in that field, go back to your previous role.
Right.
Other than that, there are many institutes which give you like training programs where you can go and learn, like follow a training program and actually then apply for different roles. That is another approach. That's a bit expensive approach, but it's an approach nonetheless. So that is one thing. And the last is that I've seen that many people right now, they're leaving their jobs and going for masters, and masters in more like field of data science and business analytics. And the common destinations are either US, Germany, or Ireland and Galway and all. So this is one other thing. If you want to do a master's, you can actually see that if you want to do a master's in data science, master in business analytics, these are two different masters. Or you can go for a more general master's like master in computer science.
Right.
And then choose your path forward from there. Yeah.
I think for the people who are in the industry and who want to switch into the field of data science, so instead of like this is my personal say of things. So instead of leaving everything, leaving your job and then switching to the field of data science, starting all over again, instead of that, the second approach that we have shared, wherein they can just try out a few roles within the company, try out a few projects related to the whatever field you want to work in. That's the best way to get into this, according to me.
Yes, I also agree on that part. And one more thing is that you should know that if you are already in a job and you are trying to learn for let's say just analytics, it's going to be stressful for you because you need to put in efforts over there. So you need to commit to yourself that you are going to put in efforts into learning. Maybe you need to spend some time after your office is done. Maybe you need to spend some time on the weekends, cut down on your weekend fun. But if you really want to go into that field, then it pays off.
It's been 5 years, more than 5 years for you. So what are few of the things that you wish you knew before starting your analytics journey?
Okay, this is pretty exciting. Actually, we have already talked about many of these things in the last half hour or so. But again, we can just go over it. So first thing is that as a fresher, you should never try to impress. You should never be like, okay, give me the work, I will do something, because you would be burning the midnight oil, putting unnecessary efforts and doing something very simple.
Right.
Better is you ask the right questions. Instead of looking for the right answers, ask the right questions. Reach out to the right people. If they don't know, they might refer to someone else.
Exactly.
Correct. Second thing is, do not underestimate the value of business communication, or communication to say, because in the end, you are going to talk to your clients or your stakeholders at some point. If not, then you're going to talk to your team, your manager. And if you're not able to show, if you're not able to tell about it, what you have worked upon, how is it going to play out for you? It's not going to play out well, because that might affect your appraisal. That might affect that someone else might be taking credit for you.
Exactly.
So don't be afraid to take the credit for what you have done. And at the same point, to be fair and square, always give credit to someone who is rightfully entitled to that credit. Another thing is that our field is a very evolving field. Analytics is a very evolving field.
Yeah.
To be honest, even right now, I have to spend time studying about different ways to solve something. Like every day, and let's say I shut down my laptop at 6 or 7 on a good day. Then after like dinner and all, I just sit down for an hour or so, just try to go through some case studies which are going on related to the project that I am working on. Because reading, you need to increase your knowledge every single day.
Exactly.
That makes you relevant. Also, that might give you some new ideas that you can try out. So it could be like, you get to know that there is another way to solve this problem. You might be thinking like too much. You might be overthinking the problem, but there is a simpler way out. So try to put in some efforts in that direction as well. It's not just always fun or work. Sometimes there needs to be some read and learn as well.
Right. Agreed. Okay. So now we have talked about the skills. We have talked about the recruitment process. So there, like whatever fields we are in, there are always some myths associated to it. So what are some of the myths that are there regarding the field of business analyst?
Okay, that's a interesting question, a thoughtful one as well. What are the myths with the business analyst? Okay, let's start with the myths surrounding the business analyst in the team itself.
Okay.
So major thing that they might solve any problem. That's a myth.
Okay.
Second thing is client think that if you give them enough data, they might be able to come with a solution. And sometimes that is not possible at all. Another myth is that you can just learn Python and you are set for business analytics. Because that's definitely not the case in the 5 years I have seen. And third thing is that you can just talk to your team and get done with it. No, you need to talk to others as well. So, and so I think, yeah, that's pretty much sums up what I can think of at the moment. Yeah.
I think for those aspiring business analysts, these myths would help them when they enter this field.
I sincerely hope so.
Right. So now moving to our last question. So what advice would you give to the people who want to get into this field of analytics?
All right. So for anyone who wants to get into analytics, first thing is that you get the roadmap. If you have, and try to get a mentor. It's not very hard to get a mentor, because I have seen people who are, so there was this one guy, and I'm pretty active on Reddit as well. So he messaged me on Reddit DM. Okay, I've seen that you comment on this machine learning related threads and Python related threads. Can you please help me? And there are people who are ready to help. So I told him some things that you can spend time over there, but later he went for masters. He thought that was easier. So yeah, so I suggested him that you can either do master, you can put in some efforts, and based on his current condition, financial and personal condition, he chose to go for the later one. But yeah, so that is one thing. Find a mentor. Third thing is that you need to, so people think that they are just going to get a high paying job entering in analytics. So for those, let me tell you that when I joined Mu Sigma, it was, the pay scale was same as Infosys and Wipro or TCS. So it's not like you are going to get a good pay at the starting, or sometimes you might not get any pay, because you know that there is something really evil going in the industry of unpaid internships. But those unpaid internships also help you. Try to get a paid internship. Talk to your hiring managers or whoever is recruiting in the company that if I'm going to move to the city, I need to have some means to actually live there. Sometimes you get a stipend and all, and that helps you stay over there without putting a burden on your own pocket. But at the same time, the projects that you are working on, they are very helpful for your future, because you get to work on actual client problems, and you might not get to work on actual client problems if you're working on Kaggle or something, because that's where it makes all the difference. And that's what is very important. Most of the companies nowadays, what they're doing is the first round that they do, it's not about your first round is definitely your first step is your resume getting shortlisted, but first round is a written Python test or something, or written hypothesis testing test, written statistics test, which is generally online nowadays. So you need to do that. I have interviewed with like even in, let's say, FICO, Flipkart, and BCG and all, and everywhere I have went, they have given me an actual problem that solve this in like 1 hour or 2 hour, or they gave me a set of questions which is based on aptitude or SQL or something. It could be anything. Like they will tell you in advance that what is this going to be about. But again, if you are nervous at that point, then that might have detrimental effect on you, on your recruitment. So keep calm and make sure that you solve that problems like in a good manner, and get that score for the next round.
And do get some internships if you are a fresher.
Yes, do get some internships in your third year for the bachelor's, and for master student, whenever you have the internship season going on, try to get some. If not physical internship, right now there are many remote internships as well, because the corona pandemic has helped in that scenario. There are remote internships where you can work with companies situated in San Francisco or somewhere, but still your internship gives you an experience that gives you an edge compared to others.
Right. And I have one more suggestion. So for example, if you are not getting any internship, or if you are not getting a job, so what a person can do is, if they want to get into this, say, business analyst, they want to solve some business problem, they can just go to, if they have any relatives who have their business going on, they can just read out their data and help them solve some problem, so that person will have something to tell to the interviewer. Okay, I have done this, I have done that, I have solved such problems.
Exactly, because in the end, it's just about having a keen mind to understand the problem and finding a solution. So it could be any problem in the universe. Right. Definitely agree with you, Atisha.
Yeah. So that leads to the end of our conversation. So I had it was very insightful for me, and I hope that the people who are watching this would have got a lot of insights from you. So thank you so much, Tanmay, for taking out time and recording this session. It was such a nice conversation. I enjoyed it a lot.
Likewise, Atisha.
So this is all for this video. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button down below and subscribe to our channel for more such videos in future.